What's up, guys? So it's a little bit late here, but figured I'd get you guys a recording out. So this is using the same UU team that you guys saw in my first video. A couple replays here just so you guys can see how the team functioned in some proper games. So this first team that I'm fighting looks to be kind of like some offensive balance or some like right in the middle between hyper offense and balance over here. But this kind of straightforward game lets you show pretty much everything that this team does. So I'm leading off with Axers because I figure my opponent doesn't have anything that that actually threatens out Axers. Unfortunately, he brings in his Arcanine first, and I see it's Intimidate, so I figure it might be some sort of bulkier spread, but he could still be running speed and go for the Will-O-Wisp. Turns out he just goes for close combat immediately. And now my opponent's going to make the Snorlax play, which is fine. Snorlax is really the only thing that eats a hit from Chandelure on this team. But I'm going to choose Switch Out. I figure it's either now or never I bring in Haxorus. Haxorus does have Mold Breaker, so it's not like there's anything that can possibly stop me. But I'm going to go for Outrage, kill this thing. Probably stupid play on my part. I probably should have went for the Dragon Claw first. The reason I didn't was because I didn't know if Dragon Claw would kill or not. If Dragon Claw didn't kill, then I might just have to take another Body Slam, then that risk me getting Parahaxed. But the reason it would have been better was because now I'm locked into Outrage, I can't switch out, and he can just bring an Espeon here and kill me off with Dazzling Gleam. So, terrible play right here, but now I'm going to choose to bring my Porygon 2. I figured this Espeon can't really do anything to me, and if you haven't noticed, I do have a fairy weakness on this team. Haxorus is weak, Mandibuzz is weak, Sharpedo's weak, but I'm going to stay and go for Tri-Attack, see what he wants to do. He's going to switch out now, and he's going to bring in the Arcanine. Don't really think that this was a smart play. I actually would have brought in the Gyarados if it was me, if it was sub DD Gyarados, but I'm going to make a bad play myself here, and I'm going to stay in, kind of predicting him to over predict and go for something else, but he just decides he's going to stay in. You know, gets a good amount of chip damage off of me. But anyways, I'm going to bring the Chandelure here. He got Parahax, it didn't really matter. Arcanine has nothing to hit me with. And thankfully, I know that he doesn't have Flash Fire, so I could just go for Stab Fire Blast. It is the preferred move because I'm pretty sure that Toxicroak lives a Shadow Ball, even if it's Specs. And I believe Sceptile after it Mega Evolves. Unfortunately for my opponent, he's going to make a really bad play, and he's going to bring in Sceptile here. This is Mega Sceptile, so he's going to be Grass and Dragon. Just because he ends up being, I believe he ends up being Neutral Nature, because he's Grass and Dragon, so he kind of resists fire. The crit really didn't matter. I'm Specs and Modest, and that's neutral. So he made a really bad play going into that, but now he's going to go into the Gyarados. Going to go for the DD here. Probably what he should have done to begin with. Mega Sceptile outspeeds everything on my team, barring +2 on Sharpedo. So that should have been his best bet to go into that, but you know, after DD, he's going to kill me with the Waterfall. That's not really going to matter because Mandibuzz can come in, and as long as Mandibuzz doesn't get flinched by the Waterfall, it can take any hit from Gyarados and then kill it immediately after with a foul play. Thankfully, he doesn't get the flinch. Looking around that damage, it's probably a 3-hit KO after lefties, or what? Yeah, after lefties. The roll could have been higher. I don't know if 46 was the max roll. I think the max roll was actually 50 on that. But he's going to bring Toxicroak. He's going to go for the SD. And even though he just saw that I had foul play, The reason he's going for the SD here is because he knows that he can't outright kill an Amandabuzz. If he's got a fighting type move, then he'll kill Porygon, and Sucker Punch kills Celebi, but he needs to have the +2 to deal with this thing. Now, unfortunately, I'm just going to skip the next couple turns here because my opponent's going to be going for Drain Punch. If he had Ice Punch, he should have gone for that instead. But you see he's going to go and Drain Punch. Finally, I'm going to bring my Sharpedo, get the +1 as he goes for the Drain Punch. I guess he expected that I might go for the Crunch just to try and kill him off, but I decided I'm just going to definitely get more speed than Arcanine, and now he's going to go for Suck Punch. See, Suck Punch is 43%. That's resisted hit. And he was Life Orb, but he's going to die, and then he's going to quit because he knows that Arcanine can't do anything. So, that was the first game. Not really much. The only person that didn't get screen time was Celebi, but oh well. Anyways, next game here. Now, this guy's running Stall. If you don't know me, I absolutely hate Stall as a tier to play with, but you know, it is what it is. Every tier has their level of Stall, and for UU, it's Alomomola, Blissey, Quagsire, Empoleon, Chestnut, and Escavalier. Actually, Alomomola and Escavalier both are you, but what would you replace that with? Florges? I think Florges, I don't know. If you guys haven't realized already, he's got no fairy on his team, so I could always lead off with Haxorus. Haxorus 2-hit KOs everything on his team, and Oko's 2 things with different moves. My team, if I didn't mention it in the first video, absolutely obliterates Stall. You know, you got 2 choice bonds that have some of the highest attack powers in the tier. You have a Defogger, you have an offensive Stealth Rocker, you've got something with Taunt over here, something with Trick over here, and then you just have a heavy hitting Sweeper. Like, just eviscerates Stall. So I want to lead off with Haxorus. I see my opponent doesn't have anything, but my opponent's going to lead off with Empoleon. I figure the safe play is to go for an Earthquake, and I actually expected him to bring in a Alomomola or Quagsire. I didn't expect him to just stay in first turn, but when you're playing Stall, you have to play a little bit obvious. Just looking at his team, his entire game plan is to just get up hazards and then just progressively do chip damage away from me, but long story short, this did not work out for him. I'm gonna switch into Chestnut. I'm gonna switch into Chandelure. Wow, it's late. I'm tired. Sorry, this is gonna be a terrible narration, but I'm just gonna go with it. Anyways, you see here, my opponent makes a horrible play by staying in. The turns 1 and turns 3 are just the worst plays possible. You see that he's getting up spikes. Does anybody else notice that he doesn't have any sort of phaser on his team? The only possible phaser is Empoleon that gets Roar, and it's already gone. He lost it turn 1. Nothing else on his team gets Dragon Tail. Nothing else on his team gets Whirlwind. I know it's the point of his team to try and get hazards up. It's not going to matter, especially since Mandibuzz comes in and defogs on everything but Escavalier. I don't physically or mentally understand why he made these plays, especially staying in, risking this Fire Blast. That was just terrible play on his part. But he's going to go into Bliss. Blissey completely walls Chandelure unless I predict it to come in and go for the trick. But even though, look at that, that's 30%. That actually shows how good Chandelure is. Specs modest and all that. But I'm going to switch out. I'm going to go into Mandibuzz here because I know I can defog on him. He's going to miss the Toxic here. Not really all that consequential. If I was showing you the chat, this guy's actually going insane over what's happening this game. And he's blaming me for his loss of this game. Because JJ and I had created a team that solely beat Stall. That was what he thought we were doing. Anyways, I taunted him, so that probably tells me that he's got no possible attack on his Blissey. He doesn't have at least seismic toss or knockoff, something like that. But he's gonna switch out, bring the Chestnut here again. You have a Scavalier. A Scavalier threatens me out, and just look at my team for a second. This dies to Mega Horn. This dies to Mega Horn. This dies to Drill Run. Mandibuzz gets 2-hit KO'd by Mega Horn. The only possible things that I have that can take anything are Haxorus and Porygon 2. So I don't know. He goes in Chestnut as I defog. But you know, again, instead of making the offensive play, even with this team, he chooses this. So I'm gonna go back in the Chandelure here as he goes for lead seed. And now I already know he's gonna bring out Blissey because he's not smart enough to, you know, think outside of the box. Even Spiky Shield, see what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna trick here, and I'm going to make Blissey useless. Wow, I'm so bored of this game. I'm just gonna do an abridged. He's gonna stay, and he's gonna go for Toxics as I keep scouting and I set up Starfrock, see what he wants to do. I'm gonna bring in Haxorus here finally because I realize I should have done that 2 turns ago, and I didn't. I wasted time with Porygon 2 and Celebi, but again, he's got no Fairy on his team, so I can just go for Outrages, and Adamant Bandit Outrage is going to do a clean 50% to this Escavalier. And now that I think about it, getting those Stealth Rocks actually helped out, because without the Stealth Rocks, I'm not entirely sure if I would have 2-hit KO'd this Escavalier. I mean, I did 50%, so I probably would have done so anyways, but you know, I guess this is why Stealth Rocks is one of the top 5 moves in the game. Anyways, my opponent is going to now bring in the Alomola, which he should have done a long time ago. I'm going to decide to switch out because I really don't want to deal with Confusion Hex here. I'm going to bring in the Celebi, and my opponent is going to go for the Wish. Now, my opponent has been playing he's been playing too carefully in my opinion, even with Stall. So my assumption is he is probably going to go into Blissey. Well, sorry. He can't go into Blissey because Blissey's tricked. His best bet is to go into the Chestnut. Now, the problem my opponent faces is that he doesn't know if I'm offensive or not. He's only seen Stealth Rocks. If I were him, I would assume that I'm offensive just looking at my team, but anyways, I see no reason to go for a Leaf Storm, so I decide to go for a Psychic as my opponent does switch into Chestnut, and this Chestnut gets blown away, and then my opponent just quits because he's fucking terrible, and he should feel bad for running a fucking stall team on the UU ladder, so go to hell, motherfucker. Anyways, so we got this last game. Now this game, I played so poorly this game very early on, so this one I'm actually going to pay a little bit more attention to. Looking at my team again, he's running some slightly offensive balance. He's got his own Haxorus. Haxorus kind of destroys my team if you look at it. Earthquake, Outrage, 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 Outrage. Mega Sceptile is an issue, Gardevoir is an issue. Suicune could possibly be an issue if I let it set up too much. Spoiler alert, I let it set up too much, it becomes a problem. Snorlax is not really that big of an issue. There's ways to manage around it, and Roserade's not that big a deal, but I'm gonna lead off with Celebi. I figure it's the best lead against everything on his team. He's gonna lead off again. He's gonna lead off with Roserade. Now, I go for the Psychic here, and I actually expected this to kill because I expected him to be running a Timid lead set. Turns out he's got a little bit more bulk than I expected, and that Sludge Bomb does a whole lot of damage to me. So now he's gonna switch out. He's gonna go into Gardevoir here. I go for the Psychic. I probably should have went for the Stealth Rocks. Stealth Rocks would have been a little bit more beneficial to me in this game, just to get some chip damage off on everything, but I'm going to decide to switch out. I'm going to go into Porygon 2 here, just not wanting to take the Hyper Voice yet. and kind of hoping that I could save my Celebi later if I can get a Leaf Storm off on a Suicune or something like that. He goes for Light Screen here, shows me that he's actually running Dual Screen, and I choose this moment to just be really aggressive, go into Haxorus here, and now I'm thinking he's at 77%. Even with the Reflect, I am adamant, I'm Choice Bandit, and Poison Jab is super effective even though it's not Stab. So I'm going to go for Poison Jab. He lives on 2. I think that that's a min roll, nor do I get the Poison. He's going to kill me outright with Moonblast here. So I lost one of my 2 heavy hitters, and immediately I realize, shit, I have nothing that can live hits now that can possibly deal with Snorlax and Suicune at the same time. But I'm going to go into Sharpedo here. I feel like I can get my quick and easy kill and try and do as much damage as I possibly can to this team. Unfortunately for me, he does have the 1 counter to this Sharpedo, and that happens to be Suicune, and he still got these screens up. So here, I'm definitely in the back of the situation. I'm going to decide to go into Mandibuzz here, because first things first, I need to get rid of these screens, and I can't let him set up and have the screens on at the same time. I'm definitely never going to kill this thing. And as this is happening, I'm also realizing I'm probably going to have to sack 2 Mons just to kill this Suicune. And I'm going to be at a real disadvantage against whatever's left on his team. But I decided to taunt just to make sure that he can't keep going for Calm Minds. He's going for Scald and Burn me. The Burn, it's annoying. It may not matter all that much in reality just because he's already at +2. I'm not especially defensive at all. But he's going to get the crit there, which is actually a little bit worse because I was hoping that I can live and maybe get a little bit of chip damage off with the Foul Play. Now, had he not burned or crit me, then on the second Scald I would have chose to go for a Roost, gauge how much damage he was doing. If he didn't burn me there, then I would have gone. But now the Suicune's at full health, so now I have to go just fully offensive. Gonna go for Leaf Storm here, do a nice 52% to this Suicune. And I'm going to die for Life Orb. Thankfully, since he's still taunted, he can't go for another Calm Mind here. And now I'm going to have to go into Chandelure, and I'm going to have to go into for the Energy Ball. I don't believe Energy Ball kills, just because it's not Stab. He's at +2, but still, I've had to sacrifice now 2 Mons, and I was actually really hoping that he wouldn't go for the rest. If he went for the rest here, that might have been the game for me. But thankfully he doesn't, and now you're looking at my team. I am so far behind. His Roserade is low, Suicune's low, it's about to die right now to this Crunch. I know that I can kill Sceptile with an Ice Fang if I Mega Evolve, and I'm expecting I can kill Haxorus with an Ice Fang. The problem is that Snorlax in the back, I don't think that I can 2-hit or even 3-hit KO it depending on rolls. And Porygon is really not going to do anything as long as Haxorus and Snorlax are around. So, like I said, I'm going to go for the Crunch here first turn, get my +1, see what my opponent wants to do, protect, get the +2 so I know I outspeed Mega Sceptile. This is my game plan for right now because I need to get as many kills with Sharpedo as I possibly can. Here, he brings out Haxorus. My first thought is this thing is Scarfed, and I don't want to mess with speed tiers and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna go for the protect, get my +2 and Mega Evolve. As long as I don't miss Ice Fang, fun fact, you can miss Ice Fang, that's like 95% accuracy. As long as I don't miss Ice Fang here, I know I can kill him. So Haxorus is gone. I believe he's going to bring out Snorlax next, and Snorlax is like, this thing is a fucking threat. I'm gonna go for Crunch here, and I'm gonna get, I believe, can I get this Defense Drop? Nope, I don't. But he's gonna get the Parahex here, and this just was like, fuck me. This is really the game-breaking moment. I assume that I'm still faster because I'm at +2, but if he gets the Parahex on me, the full para, then I just lose. Because there's no way Porygon 2 is going to be able to deal with Snorlax. Especially if you rest off or anything like that. So Here, I'm going to go for a second crunch. Thankfully, I get around the same roll, and I don't get Parahex, which is fine. So now he can bring in this Skeptile here. He's actually going to show me that he's physical, if I believe. He's going to go for Leaf Blade. And that's actually a little bit better. Because if he was special, that meant that he carried Focus Blast. And Focus Blast, I believe, too, it KOs Porygon too. I can't T-Wave this thing because it has Lightning Rod. But it's... for the most part, you know, most of my problems were averted because Porygon 2 does have Ice Beam. So Ice Beam will OHKO Sceptile. Unfortunately, I don't kill Roserade, but you know what? Long story short, I win this game because he's going to put me to sleep. Switch into... Switch into Sceptile after that. He's going to go for the SD here, try and get a little bit greedy. And I'm just going to smack him with Ice Beam. And then rinse, repeat, sleep, Sludge, Ice Beam, go on. So yeah, that last game was really bad for me to try and do. But first game was pretty fair. My opponent and I both made some misplays. You know, I left Porygon 2 to take a close combat. It was completely unnecessary. And I went for the Outrage, but you know, my opponent pretty much sacking Mega Sceptile, which could have been a big threat. Sacking the Espeon instead of sacking the Arcanine were bad. This fucking game was just terrible. Monsignor Pink, you should just fucking kill yourself. And this guy, you know, I played so bad in the beginning of the game. The screens kind of caught me off guard, gave me something to think about with this team. I did not expect Gardevoir to live that Poison Jab. And I didn't expect Roserade to live the Psychic flat out, but clearly this Roserade is, you know, it's got some HP investment and all that good stuff, but yeah. So these were the 3 games. I'm sorry for the terrible narration, but you know what? I'm not going to change it. It's late, and I'd like to go to sleep, and I'd like to get this recording done as well. So if you guys enjoyed, then please leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next video.